Hi friends, thanks for watching. So I just wanted to do a video about when you're relocating. I relocated because I was trying to, make sure I have my medical freedom, and because the whole dilemma was going on where I was living on the East Coast in Virginia. And so I was like, okay, I want to move back to the inland, the Midwest area. And I wanted to be closer to Montana and Wyoming, so I moved to the west side of South Dakota, and I never lived for a prolonged time there as an adult. I spent some time in my childhood. Anyway, my energy, my health has deteriorated a lot since I've been here. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm having like stronger allergy reactions, or, maybe it was the sun, the heat stroke from the sun, because there's not a whole lot of shade here. And when I moved here last year, I was walking from where the place I was staying to the main part of town and to the different stores, and everything is very spread out, and there's not a whole lot of shade. And if you do stupidly go sit down in the grass, people are going to come up to you, tell their sad stories, and ask you for money and try to make you feel guilty. So I couldn't actually catch my breath sitting down somewhere, because eventually I'd be targeted. And I've other people I've met, they don't even go downtown. They don't walk down the sidewalk. They just go park right in front of the store that they're going to go to, so they don't have to deal with the aggression here in Rapid. Anyway, so I was just like, why are my symptoms so prolonged here? Let's say I did have heat stroke when I was first here and walking in the sun. And so about a month ago, I was passing out flyers for a Freedom Constitution event, and I was like, my eyes are really burning. And so I was like, maybe it's allergies. And then I got a really bad sinus infection. And I also considered pesticides. A friend of mine relocated to some other part of South Dakota, and her husband came down with a possible tumor, stroke. And of course, it could be any other number of things, but I'm thinking that maybe there's a lot of pesticide use, because I know the water here in Rapid has it's like 180 times the amount of the chemicals used to chlorinate the water. So the chlorination is off the charts, as is the radiation in the water. I guess there's radon. And I'm right next to where there's a park. So I'm realizing that it is possible that this park is sprayed. And so I'm thinking that is a factor in why my energy is so disrupted. And every time I relocate somewhere, there's like this common pattern that I notice in people's physiology. When I moved to Missoula, Montana, I noticed there was a lot of cognitive disability. People were taking a university class, but they were cognitively different than the average student. And I also noticed that a lot of people in Missoula, their pupils were very constricted, just anybody. So I figured maybe they were very stressed. Maybe it was because of the forest fires. All the smoke from the forest fires might be affecting somebody's neurological system. I don't know. But here, what I notice in Rapid City, South Dakota, is there's a lot more neurological. I see a lot of men who are very shaky. They're probably in their 70s and otherwise totally fine, mobile and everything, but very, very shaky. And then I noticed women with like kind of like a lot of microspasmy kind of thing. And that's what's making me think if there's a lot of pesticides, because I think, if I recall correctly, pesticides, insecticides affect human neurology, human nervous systems. So, because that's, I think, what it affects in insects. And speaking of insects, there are not a lot of insects here. I probably could count the number of bees that I have seen in the whole year I've been here, maybe on one hand, honestly. And I walk and I bike, and I'm in a urbanish kind of area, so but I also would say there's not a whole lot of diversity of birds. I do see like sparrows just that live in this one alley. But when I'm going for a walk, there's just a couple places where there's sparrows. I've seen like some doves. I've seen like 2 crows. I've seen a couple pigeons, maybe a dozen pigeons or something. But compared to like when I lived in Virginia, there's a lot of birds, more birds I saw in Norfolk, Virginia, that I've seen probably my whole life. Just the variety of sizes. In that short period of time, I saw a lot of cardinals. And when I lived in Missoula, Montana, I did see more birds. I would say Oregon was the best place for all sizes of birds and the whole diversity of species of birds. I would say Oregon was the place. But like in Rapid, I don't see insects. I don't see bees. I don't see flies. I had one mosquito bit me. But I've like seen one mosquito maybe. And so I think there's something different about this location. I mean, it's a very dry, deserty, like the area. There's like the Black Hills is what this area is called. It's also near what's called the Badlands. And I would say that those are applicable terms, because just speaking as somebody who's walking, the sun and just the sun, the severity of the sun is just so intense, and there's not a whole lot of shade. Just makes for a very challenging walk. So that also, combined with the pesticide use, is something that's really been so hard on me in my relocation. Like, I keep on saying this, but moving to Rapid was the worst relocation, most difficult relocation for me, just because I just really did not expect the weather to be so intense. Like, the wind here can be like 50, 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour, multiple times, like in a year, in a month, even. And of course, the weather can change, like 50 degrees in a day, at certain times of the year, and also electromagnetic frequencies. So I attended an event, and I purchased some Organite, like this EMF protection device. And the guy who was selling the Organite was like, "Yeah, there's so many cell phone towers here in Rapid." And I had just looked. I'm like, "Yeah, there's so many. It's like we're in New York City. There's so much electromagnetic frequency exposure here." So there's just like so much coming at you here. And I would say that the local animals, like the insects and the birds, it's definitely, I mean, I don't even see that many squirrels. Like, everywhere else I've lived, there's squirrels. I've probably seen like a couple squirrels. I do think that it's, people are like, "Oh, I don't like bugs," but I do think it's healthy when there are some insects around. And there was one other thing I wanted to say about Rapid, but it's escaped me. But anyways, I think that's all. So I just wanted to say, like, when you're relocating, You want to take into account what are the pesticides that are used in the area, what are the electromagnetic frequency, like what's going on with the cell phone towers in the area. You want to look into the weather, which it's just so complicated. Like I would, excuse me, I would never have known to look at the gusts of wind, the extremes of temperature. I would never have known to look for that, and I don't even know if I would have the energy to figure that out myself in the future. And I mean, yeah. So I think that's all I'll say for now. But thanks for listening.